perhaps today who would say, well, what evidence is there that even Jesus existed? Was he a real person? Did he really do the things that the Bible claims that he did? What's your take on that?
Well, this is actually very easy to answer. And I have support from a very well-known, vigorous critic of Christianity. His name is Bart Ehrman. He's one of the top scholars in the world on the issue of the biblical documents, okay? And his mentor was Bruce Metzger, who was #1 in the world. He co-authored a second edition of the text of the New Testament. I mean, this guy knows his stuff. No, he's not a Christian. He used to be, but he's not. But when he was confronted with this particular question during a Q&A, and I watched the video, that an atheist said, well, I have no reason to believe Jesus ever existed. He stopped him very aggressively. And he said, don't talk like that. Because and this is Bart Ehrman saying, there is not a scholar in the world in the area of New Testament studies or the life of Jesus or that period of time in history who believes what you just said. And the reason they don't believe it, that there's no evidence for Christ, is because there's abundant evidence that matters to historians. Okay? Now, some people say, oh, yeah, that's the Bible, and then they want to be dismissive of it. But the New Testament didn't even exist as a New Testament book until about the 4th or 5th century. All the documents existed, but they weren't brought together. So the New Testament is a library. It's not just one book. And in that library are records, primary source historical documents that are classically known as Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that are independent and co-validating witnesses to the life of Jesus that give lots and lots of detail. And this is the kind of thing that Bart Ehrman was saying. He said, of course Jesus was an historical figure. Of course we know all kinds of details about his life. I wrote a book on it, he said. And then he chastised the atheist, and he said, don't keep talking like that. Because when you say things like that, you just sound foolish. So the academic issues, the academic evidence is in. Now, Bart Ehrman doesn't believe every single thing that's written there, and there are reasons that academics are going to dismiss certain parts, and that has to do with their own presuppositions, and that's another issue. But as to their general historical reliability, this is not an issue among academics in the field studying that kind of stuff. And I thank Bart Ehrman, the agnostic/atheist critic of Christianity, for putting those facts out on the table in such a clear way. There is no good reason to reject the basic historical information about Jesus of Nazareth. He was a man of history.